Have you ever found yourself stuck in the same toxic relationship patterns, wondering why you keep attracting the wrong people? Or perhaps you felt the longing for deeper, more meaningful connections, but just couldn't seem to make it happen. If so, you're not alone, and this video is exactly what you need to hear. Today, we're diving into the hidden truths about love, relationships, and how you can break free from the cycle that keeps you feeling unfulfilled. Why do some relationships leave us feeling drained, while others bring out the best in us? What if the key to healthier, more vibrant relationships doesn't lie in finding the perfect partner, but in transforming how we relate to ourselves? In this video, we're going to explore the incredible power of self-love, the subtle patterns that hold us back, and the mindset shift that can change everything. You'll learn how to identify and break free from toxic relationship cycles, how to embrace love as a tool for personal growth, and most importantly, how to create relationships that reflect your true self. Stick with me until the end, and you'll discover practical steps to not only attract the love you deserve, but to love yourself in a way that transforms every relationship you have. Don't miss this. Your journey toward true, authentic love begins now. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. Think about the last time someone made you feel something deeply, whether it was love, frustration, or even anger. That person, who may have seemed just like another figure passing through your life, is more significant than you realize. They are a mirror, reflecting to you the parts of yourself that you might have forgotten or been unwilling to face. Have you ever noticed that you're often drawn to people who make you feel insecure, or perhaps you're constantly irritated by others who seem to possess traits you deeply reject in yourself? It's not a coincidence. The relationships that trigger strong emotions in us, whether positive or negative, are often the key to uncovering the parts of ourselves that are screaming for attention and healing. Because here's the painful truth: as long as you avoid confronting these internal reflections, you will keep searching for love in all the wrong places, desperately seeking fulfillment in people who aren't able to give you what you truly need. The real question you should be asking isn't, why does this person behave this way? But instead, what is this person showing me about myself? This is where the idea of the relational mirror comes into play. It's a concept far deeper than it may appear on the surface. When someone triggers a strong emotional reaction in you, what you're experiencing is a projection of your own shadow. Think about it for a moment. Do you find yourself repeatedly drawn to people with certain characteristics? Or maybe you find yourself consistently avoiding certain types of people, even without fully understanding why. Both of these reactions reveal something profound about your inner world. It's not about the other person at all. It's about you. Attraction and repulsion are not opposites. They are two sides of the same coin, both offering crucial insights into who you are at your core. When you feel deeply drawn to someone, ask yourself, what qualities do I admire in this person? Could these be qualities I haven't fully embraced or expressed in myself? For instance, if you're captivated by someone's free-spirited nature, could it be because your own life feels too controlled and rigid, and you're yearning for that freedom? On the other hand, when someone irritates you to the core, don't rush to judgment. Instead, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what exactly about this person bothers me so much? Could it be that I have that same trait within me, but have denied or suppressed it? Maybe you're deeply bothered by someone's arrogance because deep down you struggle with your sense of superiority, one that you're too ashamed to acknowledge. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but it's the path to real transformation. This level of self-awareness requires a level of brutal honesty that many of us shy away from. It's so much easier to blame others for how we feel than it is to look inward and face the uncomfortable truths about ourselves. But it's only when we are willing to look at ourselves honestly and embrace the parts of us we've been hiding, sometimes from others, sometimes even from ourselves, that true healing can begin. It's often the most challenging relationships in our lives that hold the most growth potential. The person who irritates you the most, the one who seems to trigger all your unresolved feelings, might just be the very one who can unlock the parts of you that need the most attention. This isn't a coincidence. These people are karmic messengers, appearing in your life to guide you toward integration and wholeness. They show you the parts of yourself that are fragmented, parts that need healing before you can fully experience the love and connection you crave. Here's another crucial aspect of the relational mirror. Just as others reflect parts of you, you also act as a mirror for them. Understanding this dynamic shifts your perspective and brings compassion and responsibility to your interactions. When someone reacts negatively toward you, it's not necessarily about you. It's about what they see in themselves when they look at you. The key is to stop reacting defensively and instead respond with understanding. The real purpose of this work isn't just to identify patterns in your relationships. It's about transforming them. When you start to recognize which parts of yourself are being reflected in a difficult relationship, you can begin the work of healing those parts. And let me tell you, this process of integration doesn't happen overnight. There is no magic fix, no instant transformation. It takes time, patience, and consistent self-reflection. But the more you study your emotional reactions without judgment, but with genuine curiosity, the more you'll begin to understand the deeper truths behind them. Over time, you'll notice something incredible. The people who once triggered intense reactions in you will no longer hold the same power over your emotions. The relationships you've been longing for, those filled with mutual respect and understanding, will begin to unfold naturally, almost effortlessly. What's even more beautiful is that instead of attracting people who reflect your wounds and unhealed parts, you'll begin attracting those who reflect the healthiest, most integrated version of yourself. You'll no longer seek in others what you lack in yourself. Instead, you'll create connections based on shared wholeness, not emotional dependency. When you love from a place of completeness, not lack, your relationships shift from being spaces for mutual growth rather than emotional neediness. The day will come when you realize that you no longer need someone else to fill the emptiness inside you because you are complete within yourself. And here lies the ultimate truth. The very parts of yourself that you've been rejecting are the same parts that have been sabotaging your relationships. You cannot fully love others if you do not accept every aspect of who you are. Those things you don't like about yourself, those parts you try to hide, those are your shadows. Until you integrate them, you will continue projecting your insecurities onto others, damaging your ability to connect with them in a genuine, loving way. For example, if arrogance in others irritates you, you may fear being perceived as arrogant yourself. Or, if you're drawn to people who make you feel small, it might be because, deep down, a part of you doesn't feel big enough. This is where the transformative work happens, the integration of your shadow. It's not about striving for perfection, it's about becoming whole. Only when you accept all that you are, your flaws, your gifts, your dark and light sides, can you truly love and be loved in return. Your shadow is not just the negative aspects of yourself, it also contains your unrecognized talents and gifts. When you reject parts of yourself, you fragment your being, unknowingly creating a barrier that prevents you from experiencing the deep connection you so deeply long for. But when you embrace every part of who you are, you stop seeking love as something external. You become love. And from that place of self-love, true connection becomes inevitable. So, I challenge you, look at your relationships, especially the difficult ones, with new eyes. Recognize them for what they truly are, a reflection of you. And as you begin to integrate these reflections, you'll realize that you are not just seeking love anymore. You are becoming it. This fragmentation within ourselves leads to an endless search, for what we cannot accept in others. Every time we harshly judge someone, we are staring into a mirror that reflects the parts of us we are reluctant to confront. The very quality that infuriates you in another person is a direct reflection of something within yourself, something buried deep, often unacknowledged and repressed. The next time you feel that strong emotional reaction, whether it's anger, disgust, or frustration, take a step back and pay attention. Those intense reactions are a goldmine of self-discovery, full of clues pointing directly to the heart of your unresolved inner conflict. For instance, you might find yourself despising vulnerability in others because it mirrors your fear of fragility, a part of you that you've worked hard to hide from the world. Or perhaps you criticize people for being excessively ambitious because you've never allowed yourself to recognize your burning desire for success, recognition, or accomplishment. This is your shadow at play, quietly influencing your thoughts and behavior in ways you may not fully realize. And it doesn't just manifest in your judgments of others, it also shapes the way you experience romantic attractions. We often find ourselves drawn to people who express the parts of ourselves we have long repressed. If you feel an irresistible pull toward dominant personalities, ask yourself, is there a part of me that secretly longs to express more power and authority? If you're repeatedly attracted to people who need rescuing, it might be a sign that you're projecting your own deep-seated need for care and attention. Relationships, in this sense, become subtle battlefields where we unintentionally sabotage our happiness. The fear of abandonment can make you push people away before they have a chance to leave, or the fear of being controlled might cause you to resist reasonable suggestions from your partner, even if it's for your mutual benefit. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. These patterns aren't random. They are defense mechanisms born from an unintegrated shadow parts of yourself you've either rejected or suppressed over the years. But here's the truth. Integrating your shadow isn't easy. It takes an incredible amount of courage. The first step is to be willing to look at your shadow without judgment. Every time you feel that intense aversion to something in another person, ask yourself, where does this quality exist within me? Don't ask this question to beat yourself up, but rather to understand yourself more deeply. This process of integration also involves allowing yourself to express these repressed aspects in environments where you feel safe. If you've suppressed your creativity, it's time to find spaces where you can freely express yourself without fear. If you've denied your need for connection, allow yourself to be vulnerable with people you trust. Over time, these parts of yourself once hidden, repressed, and sabotaging your happiness will transform from your inner saboteurs into your greatest sources of strength. One powerful exercise you can try is writing a letter to your shadow. In this letter, acknowledge its existence, thank it for the protection it offered you, and express your intention to integrate it with compassion. This simple but profound act of self-awareness can mark the beginning of a reconciliation within yourself. The beautiful paradox here is that by embracing your darkest parts, you become more luminous. By accepting your imperfections, you step into your truest, most authentic self. And it's through this authenticity that you can create genuine, fulfilling connections. Relationships transform when both individuals show up as whole beings, complete and accepting of both their light and their shadow. When you've integrated all parts of yourself, you no longer need a partner to fill the gaps within you. You are no longer searching for someone to complete you because you've already become whole. You no longer project your fears, insecurities, or unmet needs onto others. You can love from a place of abundance rather than lack, which is the foundation for healthy, thriving relationships. Relationships, after all, are not just about feeling good, they are about growth. Every argument, every disagreement, and even every disappointment is an opportunity for you to understand yourself better. So, in this journey of love and self-discovery, shift your perspective. Love is not an end goal. It is a profound journey of transformation. If you keep finding yourself in relationships where you feel abandoned, it's because there's an abandonment wound that still needs healing within you. If you're constantly drawn to people who make you feel secure, it's because there's a part of you that doesn't feel safe. This is the essence of using love as a tool for growth, rather than a goal that only brings frustration. When we treat love solely as a source of pleasure and comfort, we miss its deeper transformative power. Relationships are the most intense classrooms of our lives, and each person who enters our lives carries a specific lesson for us. Until we learn that lesson, the patterns will continue to repeat. The faces may change, but the essence of the lesson remains the same. If you take a good look at your romantic history, you'll see patterns emerging. Maybe you always end up with emotionally distant people, or perhaps you're repeatedly attracting those who need to be saved. These patterns are not coincidental. They are invitations for deeper self-reflection, signals pointing to internal wounds that still need attention. Attachment theory suggests that our earliest bonds shape the relational patterns we carry into adulthood. If, as a child, you experienced love as inconsistent, sometimes present, sometimes absent, you may unknowingly seek that same inconsistency in your adult relationships, even if it's painful. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to transforming them. And while it may feel uncomfortable to confront these patterns at first, it's the only way to break free from them. Because once you start integrating your shadow and healing these wounds, you'll finally have the chance to experience relationships that are truly fulfilling, deep, and meaningful. Relationships that are built not on the need for completion, but on the foundation of two whole, authentic people coming together. Romantic love, in its purest form, is not there to simply make you happy, though. Of course, happiness can sometimes be a beautiful side effect. The true purpose of love is far more profound. It exists to reveal the parts of yourself that you might otherwise keep hidden, parts that often lie dormant, buried beneath the layers of your carefully constructed defenses. Love is the mirror in which your deepest fears, your defense mechanisms, and your unexpressed desires are reflected. It strips you down to your most vulnerable self, showing you the raw edges of who you are. In reality, love is not just about finding the right person, it's about becoming someone who can love deeply, fearlessly, and consciously. It requires you to shed the walls you've built, to embrace the parts of yourself that are uncomfortable, and to face those emotions and patterns that you may have been avoiding for years. When conflict arises in a relationship, the most valuable question you can ask yourself isn't, who is right or who is to blame? Instead, ask yourself, what is this situation teaching me about myself? Perhaps the disproportionate irritation you feel over something as small as a comment reveals a much deeper, unresolved insecurity. Maybe your compulsive need for control is a mask for an overwhelming fear of abandonment. These uncomfortable insights, while they may sting in the moment, are treasures for those who seek personal growth. They are the moments when you are allowed to learn and heal, if only you are brave enough to face them. Attractions, too, are powerful teachers. They aren't just random feelings or fleeting desires. They are beacons guiding you toward aspects of yourself that you have yet to fully integrate. For instance, if you find yourself drawn to someone who embodies a sense of freedom, it may be because a part of you is yearning for that same freedom in your own life, but hasn't allowed it to flourish. If someone's creativity captivates you, it might be a sign that there is an artist inside you, waiting for permission to emerge and express himself. These attractions, no matter how intense, are not accidents. They are maps that point toward unrealized parts of your potential. Heartbreak, too, painful as it is, can serve as an extraordinary opportunity for growth. When a relationship ends, you are faced with a choice. You can either blame the other person and continue to repeat the same emotional patterns, or you can turn inward and ask, what can I learn from this? How you respond to heartbreak is a choice that determines whether you emerge bitter or wiser, stronger or weaker. If you can begin to see love not as a goal to be achieved, but as a journey of self-discovery, then each relationship, whether it succeeds or fails, becomes a tool for your evolution. True, mature love doesn't seek perfection in a partner, it seeks mutual growth. It acknowledges that no one is perfect and that relationships, at their best, are a space for both individuals to evolve together. In this kind of love, every challenge, every disagreement, and every moment of conflict becomes an opportunity for expansion, an opportunity to break free from old limitations and heal together. Paradoxically, when you embrace love as a tool for growth, happiness begins to flow more deeply and more sustainably. It no longer depends on an ideal partner or perfect circumstances, but on the process of evolving, of knowing yourself more intimately through the mirror that your partner provides. The shift begins when you stop blaming fate or your partners and start asking, why do I keep choosing this kind of partner? This simple but powerful shift in perspective restores your power. You are no longer a victim of your circumstances or the actions of others. You become the conscious creator of your relational experiences, and you take full responsibility for your choices and their outcomes. Embracing love as a path to self-growth takes courage because it requires you to confront uncomfortable truths, question deeply ingrained beliefs, and let go of identities that no longer serve you. But the rewards are immeasurable. It leads to more authentic relationships, deeper self-awareness, and the ability to love from a place of freedom, not need. Why do you always find yourself in the same types of relationships? This question is not one that you can answer with a simple bad luck or just fate. The answer lies within you, in your subconscious. The relationship patterns you repeat are not random. They are signals, clues, pointing to unresolved emotional wounds within you that need healing. For example, if you constantly feel drawn to relationships that leave you feeling hurt or unfulfilled, it's likely because there is an unresolved emotional wound within you, one that is calling out for healing. If you constantly seek validation from your partners, it may be because, at a deep level, you feel unworthy or unseen. Today, you will begin to identify these patterns and break the cycle that has kept you stuck in unhealthy relational dynamics. Until you understand these patterns, you will continue to attract relationships that leave you feeling unfulfilled, unsatisfied, and disconnected. Toxic relationship patterns are like invisible cycles that repeat with alarming precision in your life. You may change partners, but the underlying dynamic remains the same. This is not some cruel twist of fate, nor is it bad luck. It is the result of deeply rooted subconscious programming that influences your choices without you even realizing it. These subconscious patterns are often formed in childhood, during the earliest stages of learning what love is and how relationships work. If you grew up in an environment where love was conditional upon meeting certain expectations or performing to a specific standard, you may now find yourself constantly seeking approval in your adult relationships. If affection in your past was often intertwined with criticism, you might find yourself oddly comfortable in relationships where conflict is frequent or where love is frequently followed by disapproval. The well-known phrase, "What is familiar feels safe," explains why we unconsciously repeat these unhealthy patterns. Your brain is wired to seek out what is familiar, even when that familiarity is painful. It's why so many people leave one toxic relationship only to find themselves in another that feels eerily similar. The first step in breaking these destructive cycles is developing deep self-awareness. You must begin to observe your relationship history as if you were watching a movie. What themes keep repeating? Do you always feel abandoned? Are you attracted to emotionally unavailable people? Do you lose your sense of identity in relationships? These repetitions are not random. They are important clues pointing to emotional wounds that need attention. Behind every toxic pattern lies a limiting belief. If you consistently attract betrayal or dishonesty in your relationships, there's a chance you hold the subconscious belief that you are unworthy of loyalty. If you find yourself in relationships where you feel controlled, you may have a hidden belief that you are incapable of directing your own life. These beliefs act like invisible magnets, constantly drawing experiences that reinforce them. Only when you become aware of them can you begin to free yourself from their hold. By confronting these beliefs and understanding the emotional wounds that created them, you take the first crucial step toward breaking free from the toxic relational patterns that have kept you stuck for so long. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Neuroscience teaches us something profoundly important. These relational patterns we find ourselves trapped in are not just psychological, they are deeply neurological. Through years of repetition, we have created strong neural connections that solidify these patterns in our brains. These circuits, forged by our emotional experiences and past relationships, become so ingrained that we almost operate on autopilot, repeating the same behaviors and attracting the same dynamics without even realizing it. The path to healing, however, requires more than just a change of mind. It requires rewiring those neural connections. Breaking these patterns necessitates constant awareness and the deliberate creation of new experiences that directly contradict our habitual ways of thinking and responding. A powerful starting point for this process is identifying your emotional triggers, those seemingly small yet intense situations that elicit disproportionate reactions from you. Maybe a casual delay from your partner sends you into a spiral of anxiety and fear of abandonment. Or perhaps a throwaway comment about your appearance triggers deep insecurity. These emotional triggers are not random or insignificant. They are windows into your core wounds. They show you the places in your soul that are still raw and in need of healing. When you are not able to notice these reactions and trace them back to their origin, you start to unlock the potential for real transformation. Healing truly begins when you take responsibility for your patterns. And let me be clear, responsibility here does not mean blaming yourself. It simply means acknowledging the role you've played in creating and perpetuating these cycles. As long as you see yourself as a passive victim, helplessly at the mercy of circumstances or the actions of others, you will remain trapped in the same repetitive loop. The power to change begins when you can step out of the role of the victim and step into your power by taking responsibility for what you've created. Only then will you be able to rewrite your relational story. Breaking these patterns also requires you to reconnect with your body, because relational addictions, just like any other addiction, often operate on a somatic level. There are signals in your body that precede compulsive behaviors. Think about the times you felt drawn to toxic relationships or unhealthy dynamics. Have you ever noticed a specific sensation in your body, maybe a rush of excitement, a flutter of false security, a comforting familiarity? That's your body's way of signaling that you're repeating an old pattern. This recognition, once fully understood, allows you to consciously choose differently instead of reacting on autopilot. Setting clear boundaries, both with others and with yourself, is essential in this process. Boundaries are not walls meant to shut others out, but protective acts of self-love. They are interruptions to the cycles of self-sabotage. For example, if you know you tend to lose yourself in relationships, you can create rituals to ensure that you stay connected to yourself. If you find yourself repeatedly drawn to people with narcissistic traits, you must define, in no uncertain terms, what behaviors you will no longer tolerate. Boundaries are your way of honoring your own needs and protecting your peace. They are an act of self-respect that stops the cycle in its tracks. True transformation happens when you choose the unfamiliar, even when it feels uncomfortable. If you've spent your life seeking out drama and intensity, the calm stability of a balanced relationship might initially feel boring, even unsettling. But here's the thing, that discomfort is normal. It's the discomfort of creating new neural pathways, new ways of experiencing love and connection. You are actively rewiring your brain, and the process of doing so requires patience and courage. Understand this. Breaking patterns is not a one-time event. It is a continuous journey. There will be setbacks. There will be moments when you fall back into old habits, tempted to return to what is familiar. But each time you recognize the pattern and choose a different path, you strengthen the new neural circuits you've created. With each conscious choice, you are reprogramming your brain through neuroplasticity, and over time, those old patterns lose their power over you. The ultimate goal here is not relational perfection. It's the awareness that allows you to choose freely, unencumbered by unconscious programming. When you are no longer a slave to your past wounds, you can begin to create relationships that reflect who you are now, not who you were. You can love not out of a place of lack, but from a place of wholeness and freedom. Authentic love isn't something you find. It's something you create within yourself. When you begin to love yourself unconditionally, love shifts from being something you seek from others to something that simply is something that emanates from your very being. This shift changes everything. Love no longer feels like something you need to extract from someone else. It becomes an abundant source within you. You stop seeking outside validation or looking to others to fill your void. You are complete in yourself. The more you cultivate a loving relationship with yourself, the more that love naturally flows into your relationships with others. You are no longer trying to fill a space within you with someone else's affection. Instead, you approach relationships from a place of fullness, offering love because it flows abundantly from you, not because you need it to survive. In a world that teaches us to value ourselves based on our productivity, appearance, or achievements, self-love becomes a radical, revolutionary act. It means honoring yourself not only when you succeed, but especially when you fail. It means speaking to yourself with the same kindness, understanding, and compassion you would offer to a dear friend. It means recognizing your intrinsic worth independent of any external validation. As you begin to practice this kind of unconditional self-love, you will notice something incredible happening. Your external relationships will start to change. You no longer approach others from a place of need, desperation, or emptiness. You approach them from wholeness, with the knowledge that you are already complete. This shift in how you see yourself transforms everything. You no longer seek what you lack in others. Instead, you offer freely what you already possess in abundance. And that, my friend, is where the magic of authentic love begins. The beautiful irony is that the moment you stop desperately needing love, you become far more capable of experiencing it in its truest, deepest form. It's in the absence of this need that your relationships shift from being spaces of dependence and completion to being spaces of expansion and growth. You no longer seek someone to fill the emptiness within you because you have already cultivated the happiness and peace you need within yourself. You no longer expect someone else to heal your wounds, though. Together, you may walk the path of healing side by side. You don't look to another person to validate your worth, but instead, you embrace and celebrate the value they see in you, knowing that it complements your sense of self-worth. This shift is nothing short of transformative, and it changes the very nature of the connections you create with others. When you operate from a place of lack, you unknowingly attract people who mirror your unhealed wounds, people who are also seeking validation and completeness in ways that lead to cycles of dependency and disappointment. But when you embrace wholeness, when you recognize and honor your inherent value, you attract individuals who reflect the same integrity, who resonate with your frequency of self-love. It's the difference between an attraction rooted in addiction, in the desperate desire to fill a void, and an attraction rooted in affinity, in the magnetic draw between two complete souls. It's important to note that practicing self-love is not the same as narcissism. It is its complete opposite. Narcissism stems from a deep, painful insecurity, a profound inner void that constantly seeks external validation to feel whole. Authentic self-love, on the other hand, arises from the recognition and honoring of your complete humanity. It is the ability to accept every part of you, the light and the shadow, and to extend that compassion to others. When you truly love yourself, you no longer project your unmet needs onto others, nor do you seek to manipulate or control relationships to fill those needs. Instead, you see others with greater clarity and compassion, free from the distorted lens of insecurity. One of the most transformative practices you can adopt is conscious self-compassion. When difficult emotions arise, fear, sadness, anger, shame, don't judge them, suppress them, or wish them away. Instead, embrace them as part of your humanity. These emotions are not flaws to be eradicated. They are simply experiences that shape your journey. Radical acceptance of your feelings shifts your relationship with your internal experience and, by extension, with the world around you. You begin to approach every moment with greater gentleness, treating yourself as you would a dear friend who needs love, comfort, and support. And as you practice this with yourself, you naturally begin to extend that compassion to others. Remember that love is not a destination. It is a daily practice, a constant, evolving journey that asks you to choose it again and again. There will be days when loving yourself feels particularly difficult, days when the old voices of self-doubt and self-criticism resurface, threatening to overshadow your progress. But do not be discouraged. Every moment of awareness, every conscious choice to love yourself despite the challenges, strengthens your capacity for authentic love. Every time you reconcile with yourself after a moment of disconnection, you rebuild your ability to love more deeply, more freely, and more honestly. The greatest paradox of this journey is that when you stop seeking love as something you lack, you discover that love has always been there, flowing within you. Like a fish desperately searching for the ocean while swimming in it, you realize that you have been immersed in love all along. The task is not to find love outside of yourself. It's to recognize it within, to allow it to express, first toward yourself, and then naturally toward everyone around you. This is the secret that mystics, sages, and wise beings have shared throughout the ages. Love is not something you do, something you give or receive. It is something you are. It is an essential part of your being, always present, always within reach. And when you live from this truth, that love is not external, but an intrinsic part of who you are, every relationship, every encounter, and every moment becomes an expression of the loving essence that resides at the core of your deepest nature. This is the ultimate transformation, the shift that changes everything, leading you into a life of fulfillment, connection, and authentic, unconditional love. Thank you so much for watching. We've explored the profound journey of self-love, personal growth, and transforming your relationships. Now, I want to ask you, what have you learned so far? Is there one key insight that resonated with you, something that you plan to bring into your own life? I'd love to hear from you. Please share in the comments below. If you like this video, please leave your comment, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's continue this journey together and grow into the best version of ourselves. Until next time, take care and remember, love starts within.